everyone, and welcome to today's episode of our podcast. Here, we take one story and tell it 4 times at B1, B2, C1, and finally, C2 levels of English. The idea is simple. You hear the same experience with different vocabulary and structures, so you can grow step by step. Today's theme is my first time coming to school. Are you ready? Let's begin our journey together. I remember my first day at school. I was very small and I felt both happy and nervous. My mother walked with me to the school gate. The building looked very big to me. I met my teacher and she smiled kindly. There were many children in the class. Some were crying and some were laughing. I sat down at a desk and the teacher gave us pencils and paper. We drew pictures and I started to feel better. At the end of the day, I was tired but also proud. It was the start of something new. Great job! You just heard the story at B1 level. Now, let's move to B2, where the sentences will be longer, the vocabulary richer, and the feelings more detailed. My very first day of school is still clear in my memory. I was a little child, holding my mother's hand tightly as we walked to the school. The building seemed huge, almost like a castle, and I felt very small in front of it. When we entered, my teacher welcomed us warmly, and her smile made me feel safer. In the classroom, I noticed different reactions among the children. Some were crying because they missed their parents, while others were curious and excited. I took my seat at a small wooden desk. The teacher handed out pencils and sheets of paper, and she encouraged us to draw something. I drew a house with a tree, and as I worked, my nervousness slowly disappeared. By the end of the day, I was exhausted but also proud of myself. It was the beginning of my journey as a student, and I knew life was changing. Wonderful! You could hear how the story gained more emotion and detail. Now let's take it to the next level, C1. This time we'll add richer vocabulary, deeper reflection, and a bit of analysis. The memory of my first school day remains vivid, almost as if it happened yesterday. I was a timid child, clinging to my mother's hand as we approached the towering school gates. To my young eyes, the building seemed overwhelming, both grand and intimidating. Inside, the teacher's warm smile softened the edges of my fear. I observed the other children, each reacting differently. Some dissolved into tears, unable to leave their parents, while others embraced the adventure with enthusiasm. As I sat at my small desk, the teacher distributed pencils and crisp white paper. She invited us to draw, and I remember sketching a simple house with a tree beside it. That act of creation, however basic, eased my anxiety and gave me a sense of belonging. When the final bell rang, I was drained yet quietly triumphant. That day was not only my first encounter with formal education, but also my initiation into a wider world. A place where independence, learning, and identity would slowly take shape. Excellent! You've now heard the story with advanced detail and reflection. For the final version, C2, I'll tell it in the most natural and fluent way, as if a native speaker were sharing a personal memory with a touch of philosophy. My first day at school is etched into my memory like a painting whose colors never fade. I was small, almost swallowed by the immensity of the school gates, clutching my mother's hand as though it were the only anchor in a vast and unfamiliar sea. The building rose above me, at once inviting and intimidating, a symbol of the unknown world I was about to enter. Inside, the teacher's smile carried a quiet promise. You are safe here. You will grow here. Around me, children embodied a spectrum of emotions. Fear, excitement, confusion, the very essence of beginnings. I sat at a tiny desk where a pencil and a blank sheet of paper waited for me. I drew a house, simple yet symbolic, perhaps unconsciously expressing my longing for comfort in a place that was still foreign. By the day's end, exhaustion wrapped around me, but so did a sense of transformation. That first step into school was more than just a routine milestone. It was the threshold between the world of dependence and the journey toward becoming myself. School was not just about books or lessons. It was about stepping into life, one hesitant but unforgettable moment at a time. And that's the end of today's episode. We told one story, my first day at school, in 4 levels: B1, B2, C1, and C2. Did you notice how the language grew more complex, more descriptive, and more natural each time? This method is powerful because you don't just learn words, you feel how language evolves. Thank you for listening. Keep practicing, keep growing, and join me in the next episode where another story will guide us through the levels of English. Until then, happy learning!